Check, 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 check. There we go. All right. New problems every single day. All right. My OBS reset itself, I'm assuming, in the last few days. So, because I had some problems with stream keys this morning. So, catching up what I was talking about. Talking about draft. Last time we talked was the draft. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson. We knew they were going number 1 and 2. San Francisco shakes it up a little bit by taking Trey Lance. They don't go Mac Jones or Justin Fields. They go with the third option that no one was really considering for them. Kind of weird, kind of out there. His upside is pretty good, but it's a gamble. It's a gamble that I like. If I'm San Francisco, I would have much rather sat on Jimmy Garoppolo. But you know, you live and you learn. Maybe we're wrong, but I don't trust Kyle Shanahan to nurture and train Trey Lance like he's gonna need. So hey, maybe we're wrong, but I doubt it. Kyle Pitts to Atlanta, huge for them. It tells me A, that they are investing in Matt Ryan, B, that they aren't actually trading Julio Jones, and that C, they didn't learn that their problem was defense last year. I mean, Kyle Pitts, he's going to be a generational talent. He's the next Travis Kelce, right? Travis Kelce still has, 4 or 5 more years in him at most, right? Very physically taxing position tight end, so take most long careers and subtract a few years for tight ends. Kyle Pitts is the next Travis Kelce. He and George Kittle are gonna be able to have that nice 1 and 2 debate for a while, I think. But Atlanta tells me they're investing in Matt Ryan. They're gonna give him the chance to be successful. If he doesn't succeed in 2021, though, I do expect them to be drafting a quarterback in 2022. I am really surprised that they didn't actually hear, especially with Justin Fields on the board. Number 5, Jamar Chase. Big news, right? Big news. You put Joe Burrow together with his star receiver, like they're gonna make something happen. Only if Joe Burrow can stay upright for a couple seconds. It's not likely, but hey, it is what it is. They did go ahead and draft a lineman in the 2nd round. I'm gonna take a quick reminder on who that was here real quick. Jackson Carman. Not in my top 5 of offensive tackles, but it was a pretty deep draft for offensive linemen. Something that the Kansas City Chiefs, we'll talk about here in a second, kind of figured out. Jalen Waddle to the Miami Dolphins was the most predictable pick. They were gonna go with he's dynamic. He's a star in the making. He's gonna do a lot of great things for them. Penei Sewell. I'm learning that I pronounce most names wrong in this draft. That or other people pronounce them quite wrong. So who knows? To the Lions, even the Lions couldn't mess that pick up. J.C. Horn has some injury problems for the Carolina Panthers, so it was a little weird for them to take him, especially again with Justin Fields on the board. You'd think they would have gone quarterback. They had just traded away Teddy Bridgewater, but they just brought Sam Darnold in, so maybe they're going to kick the tires, see if Adam Gase left anything that could be salvaged. Patrick Surtain. Also, the J.C. Horn pick is weird because Patrick Surtain is by far the better cornerback. So for them to pass up Patrick Surtain and go for J.C. Horn, who has injury problems, it's questionable. Patrick Surtain at 9. Again, Justin Fields is on the board. That is the one thing keeping the Broncos for me much better is a good quarterback. A good quarterback with the offensive weapons that the Broncos have makes them a really good team, makes them a competitor to the now really good Chargers and the 2-time AFC champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't understand this pick here. I mean, I do know if Elway were still picking, if he hadn't stepped down from, actually, he gave himself a promotion to like VP of player operations or something like that. If John Elway was still the GM, they would have picked Mac Jones because he's the tall white quarterback. But moving on, Devontae Smith to the Eagles, who made a weird trade with a divisional rival in the Cowboys, but they got the man that they were predicted to get all offseason. Moved up to get him, which was a little weird. I didn't see anybody in this range taking him. But the big, I'm going to touch on 2 more here because I don't want to go through the entire first round. The 2 huge first round picks were Justin Fields to the Bears at 11. They moved up to go get him, and what a move they made. This could be a career-saving move for the GM of the Bears, whose name is escaping me currently. I want to say Ryan Pace, but I don't think that's correct. and Matt Nagy. They could have just saved I think they just saved their jobs. Justin Fields is fantastic. If he plays anywhere near like he did in the playoffs this year for the NCAA, fantastic. He's going to be a fantastic NFL quarterback, I hope. I really don't want to see him be another RG3. But, and the other big take here is actually going to be another quarterback, Mac Jones, to the New England Patriots. Mac Jones doesn't come off to me like a Belichick QB, but yet again, we don't really know what a Belichick QB is. Most of Belichick's career has been defined by Tom Brady. And so, we haven't seen Belichick with a ton of other quarterbacks. So, maybe Mac Jones is exactly what Belichick wants. He does do the play actions very well. He knows how to run screens. He knows how to move the ball around in the very Belichickian way. But at the same time, I don't know, feels like there were players in the quarterbacks in the second round who could have done the same exact thing, right? Mac Jones doesn't have improvisation skills, which is really going to hurt him in modern NFL. He has an arm sometimes, but it's not extremely accurate. It feels like the AFC East is getting away from the Patriots, and they can't just keep playing Patriot football, but that's what they plan on doing here. And I don't know. I don't love the pick. I haven't been in love with Mac Jones at all. Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith were both taken in the first 10 picks. And those were his two leading receivers. Devontae Smith won a Heisman as a wide receiver, right? So when you're looking at that situation, yes, you could have this amazing situation where the quarterback is unbelievably talented and all of his receivers or all of his skill players are also unbelievably talented. That could be a possibility. But the reality is, especially in college, one of those positions makes the other one look much better, right? And so it's either Mac Jones was so good that he made Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith look amazing, right? It's not even Mac Jones last year. Who is it? It's Tua Tagovailoa. And it's not even Tua the whole year, I don't think, last year. I think Mac Jones played a little bit last year. But it's either those receivers made Tua and Mac Jones look amazing, or those players got good playing with Tua, and then Mac Jones just made them look fantastic. Or they made Mac Jones look fantastic, sorry. I really don't have faith in the Mac Jones pick, but if anybody can, discipline him into being a by-the-book, short dump pass, quick pass, screen pass, play action pass quarterback, it's Bill Belichick. I think the Patriots' championship days are behind them, but maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Also, it's worth noting, Najee Harris, one of the best running backs the NCAA has ever seen, was also on that offense. It's weird that all the skill players around Mac Jones are top of the line talent, and he still only put up mediocre performances. That should be a bigger red flag than it is, but I guess we just have to wait and see. However, the draft wasn't really, it was dominated, of course, by some of the big names and everyone getting signed, everyone checking their draft boards to see how well their team did or see how well their boards did. But the conversation was dominated by one man, Aaron Rodgers. A few hours before the draft started, Adam Schefter broke the news that Aaron Rodgers had been telling people inside of the Packers organization that he did not want to play in 2021, right? And then it came out that not only had he been saying this, he'd been saying this since their playoff run ended, and it was now, since then, the Packers had tried to organize 3 separate meetings with Aaron Rodgers. The general manager had gone out. I want to say the VP of player personnel went out, and then head coach Matt LaFleur went out to go see him in his San Francisco home. And despite the fact that they had talked about an extension with a huge, huge dollar sign on it, and a whole bunch of things to try and get him to stay, Aaron Rodgers to this point is now not going, he is pretty much at this point not going to play for the Packers in 2021, which is huge news. That's huge. He's made a list of demands that he said maybe will bring him back if they fire their head or their GM. I'm sure somewhere in there before the draft, if they had drafted a first round wide receiver, which mind you, they didn't. But it is now all but guaranteed that Aaron Rodgers will not play for the Green Bay Packers in 2021. Huge news. He has a list of teams that he'd be willing to play for. The San Francisco 49ers actually called the night before the draft to see if Aaron Rodgers was available. They weren't told no, but they didn't make an offer. So we don't know quite what's going on. His 3 teams are San Francisco 49ers, Denver Broncos, and Las Vegas Raiders. It is worth noting 2 of those are in the AFC West and Patrick Mahomes division. People have brought that up to Aaron Rodgers' attention, and according to Rich Eisen, which take that information as you will, according to Rich Eisen, Aaron Rodgers is looking forward to playing Patrick Mahomes twice a year, and, quote, wants to send his butt to the divisional round every year. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers had looked at the Las Vegas Raiders, but he ain't going to do that with the Las Vegas Raiders. He ain't going to do that with the Raiders. Now, I did just say the Broncos are a quarterback away from being a potential playoff team and being up there with the Chargers and the Chiefs, and I think that's especially true. I think that's especially true if they bring in Aaron Rodgers. Post June 2nd, or post June 1st, so as of June 2nd, the Packers can trade Aaron Rodgers and lose only $2 million in cap space. If they trade him now, if they trade him before June 1st, they lose somewhere in the region of $25 million in cap space, which on a tight cap year like this one you can't do. So a lot of speculation is that they are waiting until June 2nd to move him because they can't afford to move him otherwise, right? They are also reportedly in the market for a quarterback as part of this trade because they only have one other quarterback on the roster, and that is the man they traded up for last year, Jordan Love. Now, Rodgers reportedly said that trade up without telling him was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. So we'll see. Just a reminder, Aaron Rodgers won the MVP, right, in 2020. He was a poor on-field decision by Matt LaFleur away from going to the Super Bowl to play the Chiefs, right? So it's also worth noting the Packers defense played terribly in that game. So he was a combination of a terrible Packers defense performance and a poor decision on the field by Matt LaFleur in the final seconds to kick a field goal rather than going for it on 4th and 9 away from playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. This is going to be huge. I mean, it already is huge. You have to think for Aaron Rodgers, he's only won 1 Super Bowl. I want to say he's only been to 1 Super Bowl. He might have been 2. But for him, what he's looking at is what Tom Brady just did. Tom Brady won 6 championships with the New England Patriots and then said, hasta la vista, I'm going to go make my own way in Florida. Went to Tampa Bay with Bruce Arians, got to pretty much build that team however we want. He got to pretty much run the playbook he wanted to run. And he got to win a Super Bowl essentially on his own. No one's talking about how great Bruce Arians was. They're all talking about how great Tom Brady was. Which, credit to him. Rodgers is looking at that and he's saying, I should have that. The team should be willing to listen to me and ask me what I want them to draft, who I want them to draft. The team should talk to me about free agents. By the way, every free agent that the Packers tried to sign this offseason, when they talked to Aaron Rodgers reportedly told them, if you sign with the team, there's a likeliness that I'm not going to be there in 2021, so take that into consideration. Like, he's looking at what Tom Brady did, and he's saying that he should get to do that for himself. He's not going to find that on the Raiders. I don't know why the Raiders keep making their way onto everybody's, if I have to be traded, I know where I want to go list. I mean, I kind of know why it is. They run a ton of 12 personnel. It makes your quarterback look safe. I mean, if Derek Carr can make something happen in the 12 seconds he's given by his offensive line, Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers definitely can. But they also traded away their entire offensive line this offseason, so there's that. Aaron Rodgers deserves to go to another Super Bowl before he retires, which he is threatening. If he is not traded, he is straight up threatening retirement. I mean, he got to guest host Jeopardy. The ratings were through the roof. He apparently really loved it, so I wouldn't be surprised if they don't trade him, just full on retires, goes and hosts Jeopardy for the rest of his life. He has a fiance now who lives in Hollywood, has a great Netflix deal. They're not hurting for money, right? So I definitely think Aaron Rodgers could pull this off. This is one of the weirdest but also most intense and most interesting storylines we're going to have to keep up with for the next few days or next few weeks. It's going to be probably until June that this is resolved. And for me, I think the Packers championship days just ended. The moment that news came out, the Packers championship window slammed shut, right? It's going to be a while. It's going to be a long while. I think the organization's going to have to blow it up and try again. It's bad. And just in time, the Chicago Bears might have slipped into a potential playoff team. Don't know quite yet. Maybe those Vikings can figure out how to use Dalvin Cook next year. But speaking of championship contenders, the Kansas City Chiefs decided, yeah, we saw what you did in the championship game. We're going to build the best offensive line in football and dominate every defensive line from now on. Left tackle, Orlando Brown Jr. via trade with the Baltimore Ravens. A steal, right? They weren't going to get a better player in the draft. So they got Orlando Brown Jr. for left tackle. He's a two-time Pro Bowler. He's gotten a Pro Bowl on each side of the line. He's never given up a sack on the left side of the line. He has family history on the left side of the line. He gets to go play where he wants to play. Dude's passionate, right? And they're not paying him up front, so this is a contract year for Orlando Brown Jr. And you know what contract years mean? It means monster performances. He is going to dominate anyone on the left side. Von Miller will be back this year for the Denver Broncos, very likely, and I suspect that he will get very frustrated with Orlando Brown. Joe Thuney moves into left guard, one of the best left guards of all time, trained by Belichick himself. Yes, we need to be skeptical about Belichick players outside of the New England system because they tend to fall apart sometimes. Joe Thuney isn't going to do that, right? You don't take a person with that much muscle mass and say, okay, now fall apart. He's going to stand up well. The center, Austin Blythe, they signed in free agency. I actually think he doesn't make the team. I don't think he makes it past training camp. Creed Humphrey, 3rd round pick in this year's draft. The Chiefs steal him because he was an early 2nd round pick value. He never gave up a sack with his time in Oklahoma, right? You have to go back to his time in high school to find the last time he gave up a sack. Now, he could also just not play center because at the pro day, he took snaps at right guard where he also dominated. Then we go to right guard. Again, it could be Creed Humphrey. It could be Kyle Long. Longtime Chicago Bear legend, Kyle Long. It could be Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, who opted out last year so that he could go save people's lives from coronavirus. They have options. They're going to play with this offensive line the entire offseason. And then right tackle, you can play Mike Remmers, or you can play Lucas Niang, who has been training all offseason to play left tackle, but has a history at right tackle. You can actually go back and find interviews with Chase Young, the number, 2, 3 pick for the Washington football team last year, who says that the reason he made himself get better was because Lucas Niang kicked his butt every time they matched up. Lucas Niang is a beast at right tackle. Mike Remmers, okay. Mike Remmers has had a couple bad games. It's just really unfortunate that they both happen to have been Super Bowls. This line is going to look at defensive lines and they're going to fall over. This team is just going to fall forward and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is just going to go scurry off for 15, 20 yards. Like, I'm not even a Clyde Edwards-Helaire fan, and I think he's going to have an amazing season behind this line. I think with 17 games, Patrick Mahomes behind this line is going to have an amazing season. Like, the Chiefs didn't do much to improve their wide receivers, but I think a Walmart bag boy could get open with the amount of time that Patrick Mahomes is going to have in the pocket, right? They did draft Cornell Powell out of Clemson, who is kind of he's an undisciplined, he's a little bit of a gamble, but they got him in the 5th round, so it's not like they took a huge gamble. But he's equated to a smaller, less disciplined Sammy Watkins. And to clarify, he's coming into the best offensive training room in the league, so it's not like undisciplined is going to be a long-term problem. The Chiefs just kept getting better this offseason. There was a time where the Chiefs fans were very worried because the Chiefs had not gotten better. They'd gotten worse. They didn't have a left tackle, let alone a starting one. Now, I'd say the Chiefs are better than they ever have been. And that's a fact. Now, in the draft, were they perfect? No. They drafted Nick Bolton way too high, despite the fact that Terrence Marshall Jr. and Jabril Cox were both on the board. But maybe they fell in love with what Nick Bolton can do defending the run, which continues to be year in and year out what the Chiefs struggle with the most. The Chiefs also yesterday signed Korea, something like that, out of Tennessee, free agent out of Tennessee. They also signed a defensive back whose name escapes me. I apologize. They are angry and they are starting to act like it. I have some worries for every team that lines up across the Chiefs next year, right? I had worries a few weeks ago about the Chiefs' possibilities this year. I now don't see a team beating them. And that's bold. I don't see a team beating them. I think the Chiefs can go 17-0 this next season. I think they can go, what would it be, 3-0 in the playoffs to win the Super Bowl? A 20-0 Chiefs. This is a 20-0 Chiefs team. Look at that offensive line. Look at the quarterback behind them. Look at Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. You're going to give Tyreek Hill 7 seconds to lose a defender. You could snap the ball on the 1-yard line, give that offensive line time to block. Tyreek Hill is going to be 99 yards down the field, probably with 20 yards of separation from the closest defender. Patrick Mahomes has the arm to throw end zone to end zone. What do you do, dude? What do you do? Honestly. Yeah, you could try and offensively keep up with them, but they're making that defensive line even better. Chris Jones is sitting there. They signed a new defensive end for third downs. They have the talent. They have the talent. Willie Gay is going to get more snaps this year. Nick Bolton's going to come in to try and help stop the run. It baffles me. It baffles me because 2 weeks ago, you could go listen to my Go Run a Route podcast with Keaton Henry. 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting there and I'm still bashing Brett Veach for things he's done. And now I'm just sitting here like you could have looked away for a few seconds and then Brett Veach built an amazing team while you weren't looking. It's unbelievable what he did. Now, I don't want to stay on football too long. This is an all-sport show. Y'all know I love me some MMA, but it is boxing weekend, right? I'm training for MMA. That's how I do my workouts. Kickboxing, Muay Thai, a little bit of Brazilian. But this weekend's about boxing. Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders. They are going to unify 2 of the weight class titles. It's a big deal, and if you think Billy Joe Saunders has any chance, you don't watch boxing, do you? Canelo Alvarez, maybe the most dominant boxers at his weight class, the most dominant in recent history. right? Offensively, he just overpowers anyone who steps to him in the ring. Unlike Floyd Mayweather, who is an extremely defensive boxer, Canelo will come to you and he will knock you out for 10 seconds. It's unbelievable. This is going to be a great matchup. There is UFC this weekend. Not like anybody's going to be talking or watching it, because Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders. Sure, it costs $50 while UFC Fight Night is free on ESPN, but it is what it is. And actually, UFC Fight Night might be on Fox this week. I'm not sure. That's how little interest it's garnering in the MMA community versus Alvarez Saunders. Now, but last weekend we did have some great UFC, including UFC Fight Night, where we had Jiri Prochazka absolutely sleep Dominic Reyes. Look at this here. This is the knockout in the second round. Absolutely brutal, violent fight. They were throwing hands made of stone and steel at each other. Blood everywhere. Near knockouts every other minute of the second round. But then the finale right here. I'm just going to show it to you. I'm going to mute it. Just dominating him up against the cage. And then right here, bring in that elbow. Back elbow. Goes to sleep. That man was unconscious the moment Prochazka made contact with him. The moment Prochazka made contact with him, that man was unconscious. By the way, go follow me on Twitter at Byron Borov Smith. You can see the spelling right there, so I'm not going to spell it out for you. It's amazing to me how powerful Jiri Prochazka is. I think he's going to absolutely dominate that weight division. Jan Blachowicz should be next for him. Dana White suggested and more or less said that the winner of the Reyes-Prochazka fight was going to get a championship shot at Blachowicz after Blachowicz's next match, which I do believe is in July. That may be a bit early. It may be August, September. But that means potentially, if it is in July, that means a possible December match. If not, we're looking early 2022. A February match would be great for them. Jiri Prochazka is going to be the next star of the UFC. I'm quite certain of that. So for him to get that dominant of a victory in the main event of UFC Fight Night, fantastic, right? That is about all the time we have for today's episode of The Fuel Up. You might be asking, Byron, what's your jam of the day? Thank you for asking. Thank you for remembering that's a thing we do now. Views by Noga Erez. Actually, TikTok put me on this song, so go check it out. It's actually really great. I love most of Noga Erez. I'm probably butchering that name. I apologize. I love most of her music. It's really great, really unique, very raw type of music. Give it a check. I almost gave you What's Poppin' by Jack Harlow for today's jam of the day, but I decided not to be basic. Make sure to go check out our website, borderfieldsports.com. That's where you can check all of my writings as well as all of our extremely talented writers. We have a roster of such talented writers. I mean, look at this. This right here. Let's see who wrote this. Justin wrote this. By the way, if you want to go check out a 15-minute silent interview with Justin, go check out the first part of the Draft Spectacular. This is Robin here. This is me. Oh man, who wrote this? All time, Christopher Counsell, great writer. Dude does good work. Let's see right here. Brian, go check out these guys. Go read their articles. Go share their articles. Go find them on Twitter. Go tell them how great of journalists they are. They are great. While you're on Twitter, also make sure to go check out our main Twitter profile. It's at BorderFuelHQ. We have a lot of great stuff going on there. You can also check us out on Instagram at BorderFuelHQ. Nick Lawler doing great work over there on our Instagram. And make sure to check back with me next Monday at 9 a.m. Central. I realize I have to start telling people that. 9 a.m. Central, where we will be going over all the weekend's events, including Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders, as well as talking a little bit of playoff NBA, because we haven't talked playoff NBA in a little while, and seeing what's going on in the last finishing weeks of the season. I have been Byron, you've been Fueled Up, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.